Right now on Talking Music, we are joined once again by the legend that is Paul English to go through another compilation that he's put together, another playlist. It's the Now Yearbook 1979 Extra Plus. Hello, Paul.
Hi, Chris. Thanks very much for having me. Good to see you again. The 1979, the Extra Plus, a real challenge to put together. Like 1980, there is just so much music to include, and some things have to be left out.
It's a very strong
The
year, isn't it? I mean, the thing is,
Yeah,
looking at your playlist that you've picked, there's a lot of good material that's been left off the Yearbook 79 and the 79 Extra. A lot of material, isn't there?
yeah, an awful lot. And some acts like out of had two tracks on this playlist. I decided to keep them at one each, just to give fairness to the others. But Roxanne, huge hit in 1979, moves into Supertramp's Breakfast in America. Another one you don't hear as much now. A bit of disco with the Bee Gees, ABBA, Patrick Hernandez, Anita Bell, Village People, and Shaka Khan in a nice sequence. And moves into Herbie Hancock and Mike Oldfield, which kind of really a real dance floor mad section there. I kind of think that it's a pity Michael Jackson has been excluded from the yearbooks, aside from on 1984. But Off the Wall is such a good track, and kind of the start of his imperial period. Elton John has the excellent Are You Ready for Love, which is produced by Tom Bell, really nice disco track. And after that, I kind of go into a kind of a yacht sequence of the Doobie Brothers, Commodores, Robert John, kind of a West Coast vibe, which up to the end of the disc, you have a couple of female singers like Ricky Lee Jones and Judy Zuki's, finishing up with some sad country from Anne Murray, You Needed Me.
Just to touch on this one, though, there, Paul. I mean, when I was looking at the playlist for this one, I thought, Judy Suk, who's this? And then I played it and I was like, oh my goodness, I haven't heard this in a long time. It's a wonderful,
Yeah,
wonderful song, that one, isn't it? It's a
yeah,
great
yeah, very
song.
good, very good. Yeah, yeah,
I mean, also
very
like
mellow.
songs like you say, Fire, the Pointer Sisters, I would pick that one out. Obviously, Elton John, Are You Ready for Love? Was it something like 2003, something like that, when it kind of eventually found the
That's
popularity, was it?
right. Yeah,
But it's a
yeah.
great,
It
it's a
was
great
remixed
tune.
by, yeah, exactly. Really good track, and it together well. It's a strong representative look at the more mainstream end of the year. Whereas disc, I move on to a kind of punk and new wave team for quite a lot of it. Not all, but a bit like 1980 in that regard. So Elvis Costello and Nick Lowe, partners in crime, starting off with Oliver's Army and Cruel to Be Kind. Graham Parker's The Rumor, not a big hit, but with the other two. Then you have Squeeze, The Jam, The Specials, all strong tracks from the year. Gets into a little bit of more stuff with Matchbox, Rocky Sharp, and the Replays. Nice revivalists. And Dave Evans doing a good cover of Queen of Hearts. Did a more famous version. I'm trying to work out who came first, but that was she had a hit with that in 1981. Then you have hilarious Nice Legs, Shame About the Face. Probably wouldn't get a release nowadays. And the under shortest track on the yearbooks or extras, it's only a minute and 34 seconds. Sex Pistols in the Rock and Roll with Silly Thing. And a lot of people don't like that. They think it's cartoonish, but I'm a fan. And the Damned in the Bus sequence to an end, and it kind of jump stateside after that with the Cars and Cheap Trick. So yeah, have you any favorites from that?
For
Or what do you
me,
think?
For me, there was quite a few that I didn't know on that disc, but I mean, I would pick the Eagles. Always a fan of the Eagles. Heartache Tonight. I think I would pick that, and
Great
also
track. Yeah.
Sultans of Swing. I mean, that is such a good track. And obviously, we mentioned on the last episode the licensing issues with David Bowie. Boys Keep Swinging.
Yeah.
That is a great. Did he do that on? Was it when he appeared on the Kenny Everett show? Pat, I could be wrong on that. It might have been.
Sort of. Yeah. Yeah.
He might have been.
Yeah. It's the right era.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he might
Yeah.
have. I think it was. I think he guest appeared on the Kenny Everett video show with that song. I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. But I love the Matchbox and the Rocky Sharp period of the album as well. And
Yeah.
I mean, we went going back to the beginning of the album. I think Elvis Costello's tried to distance himself from Oliver's Army. Do you think that was perhaps the reason that we haven't seen it?
Definitely. I don't think he plays it live anymore. He's not happy with the lyrics that he wrote at the time. So
No.
not a licensing issue because Accidents Will Happen was on the main Now yearbook for 1970. So, it's just it seems to be there's nothing malicious in it.
And I've heard
But
radio
it's his own
stations
choice.
try and. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was saying I've heard radio stations kind of skip that verse. I've heard them try different things so they can still play it. But I think I think he said, "Oh, like when he dies, he does not want to be remembered from that song." I think I read that was not that long ago.
Unfortunately, it's one of his most famous. You know what I
Yes.
mean? If in normal circumstances, you'd be if he passed away, the first few tracks you'd play. So not much you could do about it now. Hard to edit it out.
The other favourite I'd pick out though is ELO, which is a forgotten
Yes.
ELO track for me. The Diary of Horace Wimpy. I think it's a great track.
Very good one. I thought it might make the main releases, but yeah, kind of nice operatic feel to it, and it leads in nicely to them, which big film,
which I've never
the
seen.
78, 79.
I've never seen that
okay.
film.
Well worth it.
I suppose we should end with the question. Sorry.
A long one. Yeah.
I suppose we should
a long 3-hour watch. Yeah.
Oh, but 3 hours! Oh my word! I suppose we should end with a question. You were right that we're going to get the yearbook 85 because you predicted that last time. What's your thoughts on the track listing? There's obviously we're not going to get Running Up That Hill. We might get that in 85 extra. Maybe they're using that as a selling tool for the 85 extra. We're getting Cloud Busting. What was your thoughts on the track listing?
I think Running Up That Hill will be on now 113. The next edition of Now, which is going to come out in November. So the extra won't be out till December. Assuming the normal pattern is. So on the 85 main release to Steal Its Thunder, it'd be a pity if it didn't feature at all. It doesn't really matter which one it's on. That doesn't bother me. Like Duran Duran's Rio was held off for the extra when it was arguably their biggest track of the year. So, yeah, the 85 track list is very strong. There's an awful lot to pick from that year as well, though. And there's stuff that won't get included, like Dave's probably the solo material, like Susudio or One More Night. Whereas, because it's really a Philip Bailey track. It's on his album rather than Phil Collins.
Which is why we see that right. I mean, somebody said, somebody messaged saying, "Do you think we'll see Russ Abbott finally get on a compilation with Atmosphere?" Because that was a single in '85. I thought, he might do. I don't. Jenny, who knows? Isn't he? He might see on the 85 extra. What would you like to see on the 85?
That would be good. Yeah, I'd like to see the crowd. You'll Never Walk Alone.
Yeah,
and For Africa, although. The latter is a 7-minute track. It would take up a lot of space, but I know Brian Ferry's on it already, but I'd really like to see Don't Stop to Dance. which is a big favorite of mine.
Boys and Girls is a great
Love Ray.
album. It's an
Really good album.
absolutely
Yeah,
wonderful
yeah,
album. Yeah, it is a great album.
yeah.
Paul, thank you so much for coming on once again. And the
No, you're
79
very
Extra
nice.
playlist is
Great to
fantastic.
chat through.
Thanks, Paul. All the best.
Thank you very much. Okay.